I'm gonna whinge about it one more time, and then I'm done. BDSP, not my favorite Pokemon games. Legends Arceus, one of my favorite Pokemon games. How did they end up so opposed on this spectrum? I don't know. I think it's because I see Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl as a well of lost opportunities. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire took what Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald did and remixed it into something new. It felt like the original Ruby Sapphire experience enhanced by 3D with Mega Evolution and a cool Delta episode. The only thing missing was the Battle Frontier. Yeah, they really find a way of disappointing us with those remakes. And Hot Gold and Soul Silver, similarly, it took the best of Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, remixed them together, and then also added, like, Pokemon Following You, which wasn't in the originals, but was such a nice feature. Legends Arceus, complete new spin on the Sinnoh region. I gotta say, it nailed it, but Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, disappointing and possibly worse than the original Diamond and Pearl. If for no other reason, then it feels as slow as the originals in its pacing, and then on top of that, when you're in battle, every single Pokemon likes to hop up and down to let you know it loves you. Like, dude, that was kind of cute the first time. Oh yay, my Pokemon loves me and is cheering for me. But at this point, isn't it just extending the entire gameplay of the game out by like an additional hour just watching animations of Pokemon hopping up and down? Pokemon, I might love you more if you just stop letting me know that you love me. You know what I mean? I don't know, that's just where I'm at based on what we got, but there's also the element of what we didn't get, the disappointment, what we were expecting based on previous remakes. There are at least 5 really big missed opportunities that I'm gonna cover today. They could have even added in some features that came from Sword and Shield and whatnot. Speaking of whatnot, a special thank you to today's sponsor, Whatnot, who I'm going to talk about a little bit more at the end of the video. Do look out for them because they are going to be a new sponsor on this channel quite a lot, and I'm excited to talk about them, so stay tuned right to the end. Okay, let's start off with a simple one. Number 1, the Reggies. Regirock, Regice, and Registeel were a cool trio in the Hoenn region that hunting them down and getting them, that was in itself really, really cool, but then transferring them up to Diamond and Pearl where they became keys for the Snow Point Temple where Regigigas lay, that was exceptionally exciting. So you can imagine how buzzed I was when Sword and Shield's DLC came out with 2 new Reggies, Regidrago and Regieleki, and I was like, oh cool, there's gonna be a new Reggie quest related thing in the Diamond and Pearl remakes that will tie into this Reggie quest. You'll be able to get Regigigas in the Snow Point Temple, but Regieleki and Regidrago, they're gonna tie into it somehow. Cool. It gave me hope that the games that we were gonna get were not just exact one-for-one remakes of the originals, but instead would have new content in there. But not only were Regieleki and Regidrago not a necessary capture in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, they didn't even appear in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, nor could you transfer them in from Sword and Shield. In fact, you couldn't transfer in the other Reggies from Sword and Shield as well. Unlike in the originals where you go on the quest around Hoenn to hunt down the Reggies, instead they were all in the kind of this game's version of the PAL Park, and to be quite honest, they were pretty underwhelming. Regigigas and the accessing of the Snow Point Temple is literally less exciting in this game than it was in the original Diamond and Pearl. And I just thought, given that they had released 2 new Reggies this generation, that wouldn't be an issue. But apparently not. Oh well, only a minor disappointment. Number 2, let's talk about a giant disappointment, as in Gigantamax Pokemon, which were the new feature, of course, of the Galar region. And before you say, hey, hang on, Gigantamaxing is only in the Galar region because of Eternatus, I'm pretty sure in Pokemon X and Y they talk about how Mega Evolution is a Kalos, but not one on them, and it appears in Hoenn anyway. They could have rewritten the lore however they like, and in fact, they were set up to do so. There's all sorts of theories about Eternatus being the dark, corrupt hand of Arceus. They totally could have brought Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing to the Sinnoh region. I did a whole series on like gym leader Pokemon that I thought would be particularly good as Gigantamax. I actually thought like Drifblim in particular, I thought that one would make for a good Gigantamax Pokemon. There's definitely some cool designs that they could have played with, but additionally, the Max Raid Den and the Max Raid Lair that appear in Sword and Shield, the Max Raid Lair is a top-down underground adventuring thing. It would have worked for the Sinnoh region so well. Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl has the Sinnoh Underground, and they did update that area to become the Grand Underground. They could have easily put in Max Raid Dens under there, and it would have made perfect sense. Again, in the Max Raid Lair, in theory, it's Eternatus's meteorite that's the body that's like down deep in the lair somewhere that's exuding the energy, causing Gigantamax Pokemon to appear. The central room in the Grand Sinnoh Underground is the Stargazer room, where there's a giant sort of gemstone, probably a comet because it's the Stargazer room, underneath in the center of the underground that could be exuding this energy out and allowing for Dynamax Pokemon to be caught. What's more, you're usually joined by NPC characters when doing Dynamax adventures and Dynamax raids who help you battle the Dynamax Pokemon, and Diamond and Pearl are the games where you team up with other trainers. You could have teamed up with Cheryl, Buck, Riley, or or any of the others and had them on your team while you battle Dynamax Pokemon together. To me, that was something that just wrote itself, and I'm amazed they didn't go that route. Heck, I think even just having a few new Gigantamax forms would have really helped with Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl's popularity. Number 3, let's talk about the wild areas of Sinnoh, because when walking around the 3 wild areas of the Galar region, you have the main wild area, then the Isle of Armor, and then the Crown Tundra. The Crown Tundra, effectively you have all the assets there for the northern half of Sinnoh. The whole northern route outside of Mount Cornet up to Snow Point City, that could be a wild area, not too dissimilar to the Crown Tundra. Heck, it would probably be a bit smaller, but that's okay. I was hoping for just 1, 2, or 3 wild areas around the Sinnoh region to replace previous routes. The marshy routes down in the south of Sinnoh always get criticized for being too slow. What if they were turned into a marshland wild area? Or heck, even the safari zone of the Sinnoh region, the Great Marsh, what if that was like a wild area? It would effectively be an open route, kind of like the big rooms with Pokemon in the Grand Underground, except overground, and they would redesign the routes to give the game something unique to it, something a little bit more interesting. I still struggle to see today why I would choose to play Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl over Platinum. Like, I don't get why I would ever do that. Yeah, I genuinely have no idea, because number 4, of course, the very obvious thing in the room, the elephant in this room, is the Platinum content, the distortion world. Now, come on, Toby. They said they were doing remakes of Diamond and Pearl. Sure, they also said they were doing remakes of Ruby and Sapphire, but they included a lot of Emerald content in that. They also said they were doing remakes of Gold and Silver, but they included Crystal content in those. And realistically, the extra content in Platinum, not just the distortion world, but also the changing around of the order of gyms and the placement of certain Pokemon in the wild. These elements were, in my opinion, not small fixes. They take Diamond and Pearl from being very lackluster Pokemon games to Pokemon Platinum being actually quite a fantastic Pokemon game, one of my favorites in the franchise's history. Having Fantina's gym as the 3rd gym not only changes up the pacing of the game quite a lot, but also makes Fantina a lot more memorable, because having a ghost gym as a 3rd gym is it's a big power move. Really adds a nice element of challenge to the game. And I know we did kind of get the distortion world in the distortion world that appears in the new PAL Park, which the name of which is Romanus Park. The name escapes me. I've really not picked up those games since I put them down last. But just because it looks like the distortion world doesn't make it the distortion world. The distortion world had a couple of, well, fair enough, all very linear puzzles that weren't super exciting, but also the way that the floor would appear in front of you as if out of nowhere. There was a level of mystery to this place that I really feel is lacked in the Romanus Park version. That said, I gotta say, the one upside of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, I think the Shadow Giratina boss fight is super, super cool, but for me, that's nowhere near enough. On top of that, you might say, but what about all the Pokemon in the Grand Underground? Surely that makes up for the lacking Pokedex of Diamond and Pearl, and it's definitely better than Diamond and Pearl, but I still think it's worse than Platinum. I mean, I think there are literally less new Pokemon that appear in the Grand Underground than were introduced in Platinum to kind of solve that Pokedex issue, so I don't know what was going on there, but that was just a missed opportunity in my books. And number 5 is the biggest of all, but before I continue on to it, I want to say thank you to today's sponsor, and it's not just today's sponsor. Whatnot have become a regular sponsor of the channel. You're going to see them mentioned a couple times a month here, and it's genuinely a sponsorship that I think you can get a lot of value out of. If you're anything like me and you've got a big Pokemon card collection, you love collecting Pokemon cards, maybe you like always getting a good deal on your Pokemon cards. I always love feeling like I got a good deal when I pick something up. Or maybe you've got some collectibles that you want to sell and you need to get some cash in fast. Whatnot is definitely the way to go when it comes to selling your Pokemon cards and collectibles. Whether on desktop or the app, which is linked at the top of the description, Whatnot is the perfect partner for selling your Pokemon cards, especially if you want to get it done quickly, or if you want to buy something and you want to get it at the lowest possible price, this is the way to go. It is a live auctioning platform, and what I love about live auctioning and selling is you don't have to take the time to write out a big, long, lengthy description and list the item. Instead, you just put the title in, you set the auction to go starting as little as you like. So for me, I might put some cards up at like £1, and then while engaging with the people in the live chat, I can show them the card. I don't have to write out that it's in mint or near mint condition. I don't have to explain that. I can just show it, and people can ask questions before I make the auction go live. That way, everyone who's selling is doing so with full security and transparency, and everyone who's buying knows exactly what they're gonna get. And of course, no one needs to bid anything that they don't want to. With all my cards starting at £1, it means that that might be the amount that you pick something up for, and if you're not willing to bid more than that, you don't have to. But the thing I really love about live selling is the fact that I get to chat with you in the live chat while we're doing the sales before and after, so it feels a lot more personal and I can know that everyone who's buying everything is genuinely happy. Speaking of which, on my next stream on Whatnot, I'm going to be giving away several booster boxes worth of free Silver Tempest to you just for following me on the platform. So click that link in the top of the description for some free Pokemon cards, and there might be another big surprise supported by Whatnot. You'll have to wait and see. Links in the description, and thank you to Whatnot for sponsoring this video. Right, let's get on with number 5, the biggest missed opportunity of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. The fact that they didn't program any Pokemon in that came after Arceus in the Pokedex. There was one big thing that Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl could have done to stand out from the rest of like Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. To be a significantly better game because, hey, at least you were able to play through the Sinnoh region with several generations of other Pokemon. The Pokemon of Unova, Kalos, Alola, and Galar. How cool it would be to go on an adventure after transferring your Pokemon over from Pokemon Home and to explore the Sinnoh region with those Pokemon and those teams. That would have been the one thing, huge thing that would have made a massive difference for me. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't have still cringed every time a new Pokemon hopped up and down, but at least I'd have a reason to replay the game. Whereas at this point in time, like, I really don't. It was just another run through of Diamond and Pearl. Why did I need to buy Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl? It's the exact same game. In my opinion, the additional features that did show up in the Grand Underground and the Romanus Park just didn't make up for the potential losses that we got from this game being so close, so faithful to the original material. I like the new look in areas, but I didn't like it in others. And so for me, that's why these games have ultimately been disappointments and are among my least favorite in the Pokemon series. But maybe you totally disagree, and if so, let me know in the comments down below. Please don't forget to click that link, join in, don't miss out on the stream. I'm looking forward to building a little community over on Whatnot. Thank you again to Whatnot for sponsoring not only this video, but future videos, and also basically sponsoring Card Keeper Toby and allowing that to exist for the next year. So thank you all so much for watching and taking part. And of course, so hi, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master.
A tremendous thank you to those of you who've been supporting this channel year-round on Patreon, but a special thank you to the big patrons of this month, Michael Hornshoe, The Alligator, Jedruben, and Anthony Lee. Thank you.